Hello, loves. All right, today I am inspired to ask the question, why is self-abuse normalized in our culture? So just think about the phrase self-abuse. It's anything that we are doing to our bodies that is not helping us but hurting us. And we are all self-abusing every single day. Just let that sink in. So forms of self-abuse that are normalized. Eating processed foods, super normalized, super harmful to our bodies. Not sleeping enough. The hustle mentality is highly encouraged, right? Working 50, 60 hours a week is like glorified in some way. Not resting when our bodies are tired. Running on adrenaline and caffeine all day. Very normalized. Very, very harmful to the body. We're literally destroying bones, destroying teeth, acidifying our whole body by running on adrenaline all the time. Negative self-talk. So completely, totally normalized that we don't even realize that it is a form of self-abuse. Other examples like little things like not speaking up for ourselves or not putting ourselves first or constantly self-sacrificing. But we are in this space where self-abuse is normalized. So we don't even ask yourself, do you have an example of someone in your life who is not consistently self-abusing physically or emotionally in some way? Odds are you don't. And so we don't even know we have our normal, which is quite unbalanced, but the abnormal is the person who really is creating self-care as their highest priority every single day. And so most of us, like I say, don't even have an example of what normal self-care and normal self-love is. Or maybe that's abnormal because we've never seen it before. So start to pay attention on a daily basis. Where are you engaging in self-abuse? Is it through the words you're saying to yourself when you look in the mirror or while you're driving? If you're late, are you saying, oh, I'm such an idiot, I'm late, I do this all the time, what's wrong with me? Like, now something bad's gonna happen. Is it through neglecting to nourish yourself properly? Are you drinking 8 cups of water a day? Like a super basic thing, preferably lemon water, but plain water is better than none. Are you drinking 8 cups of fresh filtered water a day? Are you eating some living foods every single day? Are you getting some leafy greens in? Are you celebrating your victories? That's a normal part of self-care that we don't often do. We spend a lot more time bashing and abusing, right? So just start to question self-abuse. Start to pay attention. Is that in your energy field? Is that something that you're doing? I've been finding in the emotion code sessions I'm doing lately, I'm releasing a ton of trapped emotion of self-abuse from people. And it's a frequency that we can get trapped in our energy field very early on in life because we are either taught to self-abuse, we witness it, or someone abuses us and then we take it in as continuing that pattern on our own. But often it's a result of a lack of worthiness for real self-love, for real self-compassion. And again, ask yourself, have you ever witnessed true self-love and true self-compassion? I don't think I've ever seen it. I've never been in a room with it. I know there are people who are better at it, but I don't know that most of us have never really ever seen a true example of self-love and true self-care as the highest priority above our jobs, above our money fears, above our need to hustle, above our need to prove ourselves, above our need to be busy and avoid our problems or engage in addictive behaviors. So really let this question sink in about self-abuse, because we hear all of this, oh, you need self-care, you need self-love, you need all these things, that's great. But go to the shadow side of it and ask yourself, start to look for, am I in self-abuse? Because when you are in this consistent frequency of self-abuse, like attracts like in universal law. So if we are in this frequency of self-abuse, we will attract more circumstances that reinforce self-abuse. When we start to shift and say, you know what, working a 10-hour day at my job is not more important than me getting 8 hours of sleep, and we start to prioritize that first, then the universe will come in and create circumstances that support more self-love and support more self-care. And your job will change, or you'll find a new job, or your boss will change, or the company will make some new rules. And so you will be supported when you start to recognize what is happening in your life, why it is happening, and set the intention for something different. And this is also really guided by, self-abuse is also a space where we're disconnected from our intuition, because self-abuse comes partly from the ego, right? That says like work is more important. You have to stay up and finish this thing or make something perfect instead of getting the sleep you need. You're not allowed to nap. Napping is for people who are lazy. Meanwhile, your intuition is saying, hey, what you don't realize is I'm fighting off a cold. Your immune system is fighting off a cold. And I actually just need a 30-minute nap. And if you take that 30-minute nap, you won't get sick. And so again, it's this disconnect from our intuition and the ego and from all the programming that comes from our very hustle-dominated society that really is not of the interest of our highest expression of our own self-love and our highest expression of our own self-care. And so it's interesting when we hear these buzzwords like self-care all the time, but when you flip it and really look at the shadow side of it, lack of self-care is a form of self-abuse that has been normalized. Just like 200 years ago, slavery was a form of abuse that was normalized, right? That doesn't, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's right, or it's actually what we should be doing, what we should be engaging in. So this epidemic of self-abuse, I'm going to call it, is something we need to address. And again, sometimes it's not about just saying, I need to take better care of myself, I need to sleep more. It's really witnessing the shadow side of really not caring for yourself and not putting yourself first and not understanding your self-worth and not understanding that in order for us to change this whacked out world that we live in, we have to change ourselves first. And it happens one person at a time. Just like all change and just like all movements, it happens one person at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, one thought at a time. And so bearing witness to our own patterns of self-abuse can be very powerful in shifting us into patterns of more self-love. And as you start to make those shifts, you will not just see, first of all, you're going to feel so much better, right? You'll be more well-rested, better nourished. Your immune system will be healthy. You'll get sick less often. You'll be cranky less often. You'll be more hydrated. You will digest your food better. Everything will start to feel better when you prioritize your self-care. But what you will also see is that as you change your internal environment, you will witness your external environment change as well. And that is kind of one of the most fun and magical and exciting parts for me, is when I see these changes happen on a bigger scale and you see real dramatic change in people's lives, not just, oh, you know what, my stomach doesn't hurt anymore when I eat. That's awesome. I want that for my clients. I want that for everyone. Or, you know, now that I'm eating better and getting 8 hours of sleep at night, I don't crave caffeine anymore. That's awesome. But what I like to see is when those changes go on and create bigger change, where you realize you're breaking generational patterns. You are changing the environment of your household. You are changing the way you parent. You are changing the way your children behave. You are attracting more abundance into your life. That is the shit that gets me fired up. And it starts with these little pieces. It starts with witnessing these little pieces and behaviors and habits and starting to change one thought at a time. And then all of life starts to reflect the way you're changing your inner environment. So ask yourself those questions and look at your shadow side with no judgment, no shame, no guilt, none of it. It is just a side that is there to help us to achieve more light and more joy and more love in our lives. So I am sending you all of my love, and I hope that this information resonates with you. If you have questions, pop them in the comments, and have a wonderful day.